of a line, day 2. Now, at the start of the chapter, I said, watch out for this chapter. It gets troublesome. And maybe, at this point, you don't believe me. You're like, I don't know. I didn't find this too bad so far. Well, here it is. Here's where the hammer drops. This lesson brings it all together in one, and many people find it very difficult. In fact, if you talk to people about grade 10 academic later, and they say, what's the toughest lesson? Many say this. Now, I don't know. I don't know. You have to decide as it goes through whether it's that difficult or not. So don't prejudge. But I do want to warn you. You better get ready to listen carefully about what I'm going to say about this situation. Equation of a line, day 2. Use strategies to solve for equation of a line given slope and any point on the line or given 2 points. You're like, isn't that the same as yesterday? Yes. Different information. Yesterday was very direct information. Here, use this slope and this point. Go. Get it done. Today it'll be less direct. So yeah, get ready. Here we go. Before I start, some terminology that you probably have not seen before. I think this is where people have the problem. I think it's possible to get all the way to grade 10 and not be super great at studying things. Like really sitting down and memorizing a bunch of stuff. You got to have these memorized by the time the test comes, which is a good question to ask me later. When's the test? You got to know what these 4 things are. But not yet. I'm going to explain what they are right now. Here's the 4 terms we need. We need the term bisector. And a bisector is a line that divides a line segment into 2 equal parts. We've got a nice picture there of what a bisector is. There's AB, some line segment, and a bisector goes right through the middle. It doesn't make any comment there about what slope it's at. It goes right through the middle of the line. Bisector. Actually, I don't mind memorizing this one. Two, like bicycle, 2. You know, like it seems to fit. Next, this is the one. This is the one people, I don't know why, it scares people. I'm going to teach it, and I hope you're going to go, oh, it's not that bad. But for some reason, this spooks grade 10s. Perpendicular bisector. This is a line that divides a line segment in 2, but at a right angle. We have the weapons for this. We have the exact weapons. It's like this is the question all our weapons were built to solve. Perpendicular bisector. More coming. Yeah, I'm going to teach a full example on this coming up. Then there's something called the median. Not as easy to memorize. But I don't know. Students in the past have liked this one better. A median is a line from one vertex to the midpoint. Let me just underline midpoint there. So you go midpoint. Yes. We haven't seen midpoint in a while, but we're going to be using the midpoint here. And actually, if we know how to find midpoint, I don't know that this is going to be that hard. But it's just a lot of different things at once. And the last one's called the altitude. And it's the perpendicular distance from the base of a figure to the opposite side. So it goes through this point, and that's perpendicular. But you see all these things rolling around. Like midpoint's rolling around here. Slope is rolling around here. Perpendicular is rolling around here. Any one step's not going to be a problem. But there's going to be a lot of steps here. That's going to be the difficulty, is all the steps that have to be involved. Coming soon. Coming soon. In this lesson, I'm going to do those. But just to get warmed up, we'll do some easier examples. Determine the equation of a line in the form y equals mx plus b that is, I'm going to do both ways to see, well, I showed you a new equation of a line yesterday. I'm going to do both ways so you can choose. Parallel to y equals 3x plus 4 and passes through negative 3, 8. Okay, for people who don't like the new way, this is for you. Still the same steps as before. 1, write down y equals mx plus b. As soon as you're confused by a question like this, write that down to at least get your brain in the right mode going. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to come up with y equals mx plus b. Then you look at the question and go, did they give me anything? Sometimes they just hand it to you on a platter, either the slope or the y-intercept. Did they hand it to me? Sort of, yeah? Sort of. They sort of handed it to me. What's the slope that I need? 3. I need the slope is 3 because it's parallel. Parallel makes us happy, doesn't it? When it says parallel, this question's maybe tougher than yesterday, but it's not a whole lot tougher because we know the slope here is 3. And if I want parallel, I want the same slope. Not too bad. Sub in what I know. Slope is 3. Y equals 3x plus b. And if you did last night's homework or you followed yesterday's lesson, you're already like, okay, I'm in the clear. I know what to do now. Anyways, but I'll put it at step 2. For anyone who's struggling with these a little bit, step 1 is put in something that they just handed to you. And I think they really did just hand us one there. Step 2, somebody in their words, instead of my words. We had a great, the last example, someone, what was it, Josh? Yeah, he really wrote it out carefully, but we'll get someone else with their words to help out what to write here to really help somebody out. Would your hand up? Sub in -3/8 into, boy, she's given us lots of good words here, into y equals 3x plus b. And let me just ask this. How come? What is that going to do? It's going to give you the b. That's a big idea in math. This thing had 3 unknowns and looks insurmountable. 3 unknowns, how am I going to do it? Well, you better know 2 of the things. And we do know 2 of the things. Here's an x and y we can use. This x and y is supposed to match up, so it should work in the equation. So, now I hesitate here, because this is a little backwards. That's x then y, but y's first. So you take a second and sub them in the right spots. 8 equals 3 negative 3 plus b. Excuse me. 8 equals negative 9 plus b. I hope that's pretty straightforward. And then you bring the 9 over. And maybe you've got a different set of steps on how you solve for b. But you should get something like that. And then finally, therefore, I have a good therefore statement. I'm inspired by Josh's therefore statement was amazing yesterday. So I'm going to do, therefore, the equation of the line is y equals 3x plus 17. You got to do a beautiful therefore statement in every question in the homework? No, I guess not. I mean, that seems like overdoing it maybe. But on the quiz or the test or the assignment, you break out your good form here and you really write that out carefully. You're happy? Not really much tougher than yesterday, really. Let me do it in green. As promised, the new way, if you're getting converted over to the new way. The new way, you would write this equation. And when I say new, let me remind you, I am not saying new and better. There are advantages to this, but there's disadvantages. The advantage is it's maybe a little quicker. The disadvantage is you have to understand something new about how to sub into this. But this subs in very quickly. You sub in the 3, and you sub in the point P, Q. There's the negative 3, and there's the 8. See? It's sort of easy, except it's so darn new and hard. Yeah, you just bang it right in there. And I got to tell you, in calculus, sometimes we just leave it like that. We just tidy it up a little bit, and we just use it just like that. For what the purposes that we're using there, it's fine just the way it is. But this one said put in y equals mx plus b. So if you're using this new way, you've got to do a little distribution here. You've got to multiply the 3 into the brackets and collect like terms. Okay, Mr. Todd, tell us the truth. Come on. You're just acting like our teacher. You're saying either one's okay. Tell us. Which one's better? I don't know. They're both good. Yeah? Some people will love this because it seems like cheating. It seems like skipping all that y equals mx plus b stuff. You just have to distribute out a little bit. Here's what I'll say for you in grade 10, though. Use this the blue way. Unless the green way, you're just perfect at. It goes perfectly for you every time. You can handle the negatives, no problem. Don't switch over to this unless you understand it perfectly. I don't want little mistakes coming out of this because you want it to be cool. They're both awesome. Any questions there? Mr. Todd, you're boring me. I did the homework, and this is not, you're not really upgrading anything here. I don't know, I'm just warming up. Just reviewing all this stuff again to get ready for what I know is some tough stuff coming. I don't know if it's next or not. I didn't peek to see. But do you need more time here? You okay? Oh, okay, this was considered a very tough example when we did our grade 9 review back in February. This was considered very difficult. In fact, the ones like this, I said, oh, I'll try them out, but you don't have to do too many of them. Now, we got to be able to handle this. perpendicular to 10y equals negative 5x plus 2, which I'm going to write a sad face under, and I'll need someone to help me. Oh, not green. Green's for the new way, right? Stay in blue. I'm going to put a little sad face. We need someone to tell me why this is a little bit dangerous. Same y-intercept as this. Oh, okay, I'm pretty happy over here. You think about it, and then you just look at those two equations and decide why I'm happy with the right-hand one, but not happy with the left-hand one. But meanwhile, I'll get ready. I'll write down y equals mx plus b and ask my question, did they give anything directly? Okay, now, why am I unhappy with the first one?
It's going to leave you with fractions?
It's going to leave me with fractions. He's actually a second level of unhappy. That's not why I was unhappy, but he's right. He's already seeing what has to happen. Why is it going to leave me with fractions? What's he referring to? Yeah, it's not y equals mx plus b. It's not really ready to do this work. So I'll write in red underneath the work to get this thing ready. And this is the part he must have done in his head to see that it was going to be a fraction. Now, I skipped a step there. I got the feeling fractions, people shied away from fractions yesterday a little bit in that one example, didn't you? Not good. You better get on your fractions. Stop cheating with the decimals. And it's not because we're being elitist and we like fractions better than decimals. It's because that's what's coming. I'm going to make up a worksheet for you next chapter, an AP worksheet, where you go, okay, here's something to look at and understand why we have to work on fractions a little bit. It'll be a little work from the grade 11 course. Okay? Optional, but something to look at and think about. Okay. Anyways, that's better. But do you have a question about my steps there? I divided by 10, and then I reduced each of those fractions. Negative 5/10 was negative 1/2. 2/10 was 1/5. Now, my question is, did they give us anything here directly? Is there something you can just look at and go, bang, I've got a piece of information without even doing much work here? The slope, she says she can find the slope. That might not have been what you chose. This one, there's actually two options. What slope do we want? The negative reciprocal. When she said negative, I thought you were going to say negative 1/2, but she didn't. She knew what she was doing, negative reciprocal. So I'm going to write some stuff that'll help you with your form. The slope here is negative 1/2. So the perpendicular slope, what color will I use here? Not green, not green, back to blue. So the perpendicular slope, and I think I used this symbol before. You could write M perp and put P-E-R-P beside it. No, the perpendicular slope, negative reciprocal. So tell me the answer. What is it? 2. Negative. I went from negative to positive, and I flipped it over, 2/1. You could write 2/1. So she says, oh, I already know the slope. Maybe this wouldn't be what you'd choose. That's perpendicular. Good, got that. Now, what about the y-intercept? Given right there. Same y-intercept is there. So not given to us, but our knowledge now is better than it was. Actually, this was sort of challenging for us in February to pick out that much information, but your ability to juggle all this stuff has improved. So now y equals 2x plus 12. So that's a little more challenging. Again, maybe you're still like, okay, you were saying this is going to get really hard. It's not bad. I got to think a little bit, but not too bad. Any questions about that one before I carry on? Because I believe it's the next page. I believe it's the next thing. Is the potential tough stuff? Maybe you won't think so, but potentially difficult. More time there? Yep, here it is, perpendicular bisector. Steps for determining the equation of the perpendicular bisector. Ooh. Need a picture over here. Got a line segment, whatever it is, and I want to find the perpendicular bisector. It's got to do two things. It's got to bisect the line, and then it's got to be perpendicular to the line. Scary stuff. Is it? No, maybe it's not. Well, forget what I wrote on here. Can someone tell me what would you do if you wanted to find the perpendicular bisector of a line? You've got a line, and you've got to find the perpendicular. In fact, let's jump to the example. Where's the example? So right below it, yes? Find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of the line segment joining -5, -2. Well, let me get those down. My first really good teaching today. When a situation looks complicated, graph it so you can see what's going on. Yeah, get out a piece of graph paper, and if I don't give you one on a test, go, yo, T, graph paper, let's go. You said use graph paper. Get it down here. -5, -2. Oh, careful, get this. -5, -2. There's C. 3, -6. Way down here, 3, -6. We connect those up. And I'm going slow on purpose, giving people time to think and go, what would I do if I wanted to find the perpendicular bisector? There's two things I got to do. Get the midpoint. Yeah? And maybe that's not what you thought first. Because actually there's two different ways to do this question. But get that midpoint. Let's do that first. We need that. If we're going to bisect this thing, we need the midpoint. So midpoint of CD would be, we're reaching way back here. Do you remember the formula for midpoint? Maybe this is why people find this hard. If you can't remember what the midpoint formula is, you're already dead in the water. Who's got the midpoint formula in their brain? Okay, now listen, friends. If right now that wasn't fresh in your brain, it's not time to panic, but it is time to plan to get ready for this test going, I'm going to need some flashcards, or I'm going to need that Quizlet app, or I'm going to need something. I've got to get these memorized. I can't be searching for them on the test. That's how you get yourself into trouble on a test, when you have to sit there and go, okay, what was the midpoint form again? Was that the one where you subtract, or was that the one where you add? And you've killed 2 or 3 or 4 valuable minutes trying to remember these things. Let's get those things snapped right in. Actually, you won't be able to see this in the video, but if you look on the back board there, some of the biology people in my, that are in my calculus class, they were just going through this again and again, the Krebs cycle, whatever that is. And they're making sure this was down pat. Now, if this looks complicated, that doesn't matter. I'm sure they took weeks to learn this. But the important thing is they were making sure this was like snap, snap, ready to go, so that they didn't have to think about that on the test. They're memorizing tougher stuff than you, but you've got to get this down so that that comes up quickly. And if you were somebody who's like, oh, I don't remember what the midpoint formula was, you're one of the ones who's got to get in the game and study this stuff and be ready so it's ready. Anyways, once you know the formula, that's not too difficult, is it? -5 plus 3 over 2, and -2 plus -6 over 2. x1 plus x2, yes. y1 plus y2, yes, label them. Yes, label them. x1, y1, x2, y2. But hopefully you don't find this too difficult. -2 over 2, -8 over 2, and I get -1, -4. And the nice thing about having a graph is, when you put on -1, -4, hopefully you look at it and go, yeah, looks right. When wouldn't a graph help you too much? If it was decimals, or if it was really big numbers. But on these ones, it's very nice. You're going to get right up there. Okay, that was one of the steps. Let's go back and see on mine whether I put that as the first step or the second step, because it actually doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, calculate the midpoint. No, I put it down here, step 3, but it doesn't actually matter. Determine the midpoint of the given line segment. There, that's a very complete explanation. I put that as step 3, but I'm showing that it actually doesn't matter if you do that first. Get that midpoint. All right. That takes care of the bisector part. Draw a line. What's the other part I got to take care of? Perpendicular. So what am I going to do? Calculate the slope of CD. It won't be the slope I want, but it'll help. Okay, so now you go M CD. Now I hesitate because it's possible that you knew the slope formula before the chapter started, and then I added new formulas, and now your brain's got them all jumbled up in there. You also need to get to work and go, let's get these like this. I can't be searching for them on the test. If you're searching for them on the test, you're going to get yourself in trouble, and you're going to second guess yourself. You're going to get a little anxiety, and then that's when you get yourself making little mistakes. It should be like slope. I know it. Boom, comes out very fast. Who's got it? Got it. And if you didn't have it that fast, it's not time to panic. It is time to plan. And go, I'm going to build flashcards. I've got some. If you want to have some flashcards, I just noticed I keep them in my bag. And so if anybody wants to start building some flashcards, or again, the Quizlet, I believe it's easy to has anyone used Quizlet before? Did we talk about this? Try it out, because you can share your cards with other people. It sorts the cards for you. You can use them all semester, keep adding on cards from other classes, and you just can be quizzing yourself anytime you're bored. All right. I already labeled these points, so this should be pretty easy. -6 minus -2 over 3 minus -5 equals -6 minus -2 is -4. So I get -1/2. Now, friends, I encourage you to use your calculator on these, on tests, because in the middle of, here's what your brain's working on the test. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, perpendicular bisector. What's the other step I got to do on this? Oh, do I have enough time to finish the test? All that's going on, and it's easy to make a little mistake with the numbers. So rely a little more on your calculator during tests to make sure those little mental mistakes don't happen. Does it look like -1 over 2? Something moved over here, did it? I accidentally touched something and it moved. This was, what was that initial point? -5, -2, -4, 1. There, I think it's lined up better there now. Okay. I must have grabbed it when I was teaching there. -1. Stop that. Double stop that. -1/2. I know why people make mistakes here. They get the slope and they go, good, I got my slope, I got my point, I'm good. There's just too many steps to keep track of here. That's the slope of CD. What's the slope I want? I want the perpendicular slope. That's where the symbol's handy. Little perpendicular going, slope perpendicular, that little T, upside down T there for perpendicular slope. What is it? The negative reciprocal. So it goes from negative to positive, and it flips over. It's 2. So even though it looked like fractions, as it turns out, we try to be reasonable about the fractions. Yes, there's fractions in the question, but nothing too crazy. Okay, let me draw the line. I think this will help you. I think having a piece of paper and just drawing the line really helps, and I didn't want to do it in blue. I'm going to do it in red. I got to do it here in red. It's not exact, but that's the line I'm trying to get. And it said, find the equation of the line. Back to this, friends. See, this is why I was teaching like this. Back to this, I'll go step 1 in finding the equation line. Write down the equation of the line, y equals mx plus b. Fill in anything that you now know. Not that was given, that you now know. From what we did, what do you now know? Slope, y equals 2x plus b. And then what are we going to do to find the y-intercept? Sub in the point. Now, maybe some of this is coming together for you. You're like, oh, this is why he sends us home to practice a bunch of questions. I'm bored out of my mind doing a zillion equation of a line questions. I know what I'm doing. I saw what just happened there. I know. I want you to know what you're doing under pressure in the middle of doing a whole bunch of other stuff. It should come automatic. And the only way it comes automatic is through enough practice. Sub in. What? Sub in that midpoint. What is it? Sub in -1, -4. And so I get -4 equals 2, -1 plus b. -4 equals -2 plus b. I'm doing this part fast on purpose because I'm hoping that's boring. You did that a whole bunch, and I get negative 2 equals b. Therefore, the equation of the perpendicular bisector is y equals 2x minus 2. And then I look at my picture and I go, does it look pretty close? My red line, I drew it sort of freehand. But it looks pretty good. You know, like the actual calculation was negative 2. I should have gone through negative 2, but this calculation nails that down. Okay, 2 things. One, I got to go back and finish the little chart that tells us how to do these things. And second, I want to tell you that tomorrow's a work period. I throw that in right now, just in case you're like stressing me a little bit now. I know maybe I don't have midpoint formula quite as good as I want, or slope formula. And these steps, ooh, I really want to get this nailed down. And maybe I didn't finish my homework last night. You know, that's okay. Perfect timing coming up tomorrow, work period, to get all caught up on this stuff. And it's the last period of the chapter, because then we go right into test review.
When's the test?
We put the test Monday. It's just too good of an opportunity to use Thursday, Friday as test review all weekend to get your final practice in, get caught up a little bit, and then test on Monday. Not that I love Monday tests, but I love using the weekends to go, I got time to get this all figured out and narrowed down on chapters that have a tough section. So, I got to fill back in this chart. If you need more time, then I'll come right back to it. Steps for determining the equation of a perpendicular bisector. Calculate the slope of the given line segment. Then, calculate the slope of the perpendicular bisector by determining the negative reciprocal of that slope. Who's got a quick phrase instead of negative reciprocal for someone who's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do you do? Yeah, say it again? Yeah, I like the way you said that. That's the first time I heard that phrase like that. Flip the signs. Flip. I got to move that. I like that. And flip the fraction. Oh, I like that. Oh, I'm going to tell Mrs. Todd to watch the video for that moment. Because we always used to say, change the sign, flip the fraction. Maybe you want to keep that, but here he said, flip the sign, flip the fraction. I like it. And then this. Determine the equation by plugging the slope and the coordinates into y equals mx plus b and solving for b. If you don't understand that step, well, I don't have a load of sympathy for you. Because if you don't understand that step, you must not have done all the homework last night. Yes, maybe that's step 1 in all this. As soon as I finish talking, maybe I better do a little more of last night's homework so that part I understand. You have questions there? Okay, we're going to do all those same steps on a different type of line now. Similar setup, but a different type of line. Do you need more time here? Do you need more time here? Okay. I hope we've set up this chapter in such a way that this year, the 10 academics generally are like, okay, I can do this. It's a set of steps, but I know what the steps are. Next one, steps for determining the median. Now, I do understand why people hate this chapter sometimes. If you get to median on the test and you're like, I don't know which one the median is, well, you're in really deep trouble. It'll be like a 5 or a 6 mark question and you don't even know what median is. That's got to be on your high priority list for Monday, is to go perpendicular bisector, median, altitude. I know exactly what those lines are. Do you yet? No. Well, let's go back and look at what a median is. What was it? Median goes through one point and the midpoint of the other side. Those are the 2 points we're going to do. I think this one's easier to understand, but it has more steps. That's what I think. It has more steps to do. All right. We'll make the instructions. We're a smart group. Let's jump right in and try and do median. Given a triangle with vertices, okay, graph it. Graph it, friends. Graph it. Whether it's on homework, on a test, As soon as the question's a little bit tough, get it all graphed out. So here we go. -7, -2. -3, 6. And 7, -4. I'm bad for making little mistakes here when I'm graphing points, so let me just double check to make sure I did that right. -7, -2, -3, 6, and 7, -4. Okay, got it. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Connect those up. There's the picture. Now, I think the way to do this is to try to draw the median on there that they're looking for. Not perfectly, but just generally, because that'll give me all the steps I need. It says, determine the equation of the median from A. Oops, I didn't even label the points. Jeez, Mr. Todd, label the points, goodness. See, now you see why we label points. -7, -2, there's A. B was -3, 6, good. C was 7, -4, good, got them all. Now I'm ready to draw a median. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to try and do it perfect, but just what does it look like? The median from A to BC. The median goes from one point over here to where on BC? The middle. Median, middle. That's why it's called median. So I don't know where it is, somewhere over there. But I'm just going to draw it like that and go, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. And so that point over there, well, if I label it, it's going to give away one of the steps. If I label that. Such a good picture. Tells me exactly what to do. I can see what's going to happen. What's step 1 this time? Find the midpoint. I think that has to be step 1. Let's look back. I think this time you need that. Calculate the midpoint. Of the indicated line. That is the question will have to tell you which one you're going after. But after that, it's pretty straightforward. So now, I'll come back to that if you didn't get that done. So I'm going to go midpoint of BC. And again, fair warning, you better have these formulas ready to rock and roll. Someone calls me over during the test and goes, Mr. Todd, I forgot the midpoint formula. You know what I'll do? I will lovingly not help you. Lovingly. I'd be like, you have got to learn that you cannot go into any tests in math and science with the formulas not ready to go. Lots of times teachers will give you some formulas. But if they're not going to give you the formulas, you got to have that. Without that, what are you going to do? Anyways, lecture over. What am I doing? BC. So this is x1, y1. And this is x2, y2. x1 plus x2, -3 plus 7 over 2. y1 plus y2, 6 plus -4 over 2. Going a little faster now, because I'm hoping that even if it was a little surprising that we were back to doing midpoint. How was my picture? Okay, it wasn't great. There's the midpoint at 2, 1. I'm dying to fix my picture, so I'm going to fix it, okay? Maybe you're like, you know what? I think I would have done that calculation first if it was me. I think I would have grabbed that. It's going to let me take that out of there? Yep. Bing. And now, my new median, more accurate median coming up. There, 2, 1. Does it look right? Down 5 over 5. Down 5 over 5. Yeah, it looks right. Yeah, I'm very happy. My picture makes me feel good about my calculation. All right. Now we're going to need someone clever. Oh, I want to be the clever person. Now I'm thinking hard. He said I got to be clever. Now we need someone clever to know what to do next. I want to find the equation of the blue line. I've got a point. I've got the other point. Find the equation of that line. Find the slope of that line. Yes, we're now going to find the slope of A, and I'm going to call this M. We're not doing other midpoints in this question, so it can just be M. So I'm finding slope of AM. He's got a plan, folks. For now, he says find the slope of that blue line. And maybe for the first time you go, oh, this is why all this labeling is important. MBC, MAM. Like I got to label these things out so I can keep track of what I'm doing. What slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Am I going to run out of space here? I don't know. Start writing smaller. y2, 1 minus negative 2 over 2 minus negative 7. And I'll go over here to save myself a little space. 3 over 9, which is 1/3. Does it look like it's got slope 1/3? It really does look like it has slope 1/3. That makes me feel good. The picture really helps to think that through. Okay. Found the slope. Found the slope. Got the slope. Got points. Yeah. You know, I'm dying to say yes. Because I love the idea that you can look at this and go, can't I just do rise or run here? What's the weakness of 1, doing rise or run, and 2, not practicing here?
Because there might be a question where you don't get it.
Yeah, we try and keep the numbers reasonable here, but if the numbers were decimals, fractions, big, you're going to want to be able to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here's how I'll answer the question. I've got to go answer the question. The answer to the question is, if you really feel like you have to, do rise over run. If not, practice this so that you're ready for tougher questions. Yeah, that's a hard thing to get through to people and convince them that we should practice the powerful way on easy questions so that we're ready for tougher questions. If you did rise over run here, would I mark it wrong? No, I would not. I would not. I absolutely would not. I'd be so happy to see the answer. I would take it. Okay. Okay. That gave everyone time to think. Now what? Got slope. Got slope. Got point. Got point. Oh, let's go back to our steps. See? This is why we like steps like this. 1, write down y equals mx plus b. Do I have the slope? Yes, I do have the slope. Fill in something you know. So that's how I'm changing my phrasing from yesterday. Yesterday I said, fill in something you're given. This time it's not given. It's something now that I know. I know the slope should be 1/3. And then sub in, step 2, sub in which point? 2, 1, negative 7, negative 2. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer for both if you do it right. But clearly 2, 1's the easier number to work with. Numbers to work with. Sub in 2, 1. Do I have enough space down here? Yes, I do. 1 equals 1/3 times 2 plus b. Oh, let's do all the fraction steps, friends. Let's get better at our fractions here. How do I multiply 2 fractions? 1/3 times 2. Yet, we don't need a common denominator for multiplying. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Okay, now, 1 minus 2/3 equals b. And I know mentally some people can look at 1 minus 2/3 and know the answer. But what are the official algorithm type steps to going 1 minus 2/3? Common denominator. So this 1, I'd think of it as 1 over 1. And I'd go 3/3 minus 2/3 equals b. I'm literally going to get down on one knee and beg you to do the fraction steps. I know you can't see on the video. I'm literally on one knee begging. Do the fraction steps. Do not rely on your calculator. Do not go to decimals. I'm telling you, as time goes by, good morning, you're going to want to know the fraction steps if we're going to continue on this path. Therefore, the equation of the, what was I doing here? Median is y equals 1/3 x plus 1/3. Does it look right? Does it look like that blue line's going through about 1/3 on the y-axis? Yeah, it does. So the picture is really, really helpful here. These questions are going to take forever, Mr. Todd. I know, that's why I gave work for you tomorrow. Huh? So you can do some tonight, some tomorrow. Start up your review on Thursday. Does that mean I don't teach again this week? Well, I don't teach again, you guys, till next Tuesday. I mean, I'm your teacher, I'll be here, but I don't actually get to teach. Oh, we gotta go back and do the steps. More time here, and then fill in your chart of steps. Calculate the slope using the point indicated. And by indicated, I mean in the question, they'll tell you which point you're going to have to use. They'll indicate which point, and the midpoint. This is the slope of the median. So unlike perpendicular bisector, where then you had to do negative reciprocal, here that is the slope that you're looking for. And then number 3, do that y equals mx plus b dance, or if you're using the new way, that's fine, but notice I've left that out here because I'm trying to focus on what we're doing. I haven't shown that other way. What questions do you have on median? My brain tells me I have one more to go. I can do all that again for a different type of line called the altitude. Maybe the most important type of line, actually, altitudes. Maybe by Friday I'll give you a hint. How about maybe we'll just choose 2 of these 3 lines. Maybe, we'll see. We'll discuss it with the other teachers. See if we're giving you a hint for the weekend. Maybe you won't be getting ready for perpendicular bisector, median, and altitude. Maybe we'll just choose 2 and say one of these 2 is on the test. Yeah. Oh, more time? Yes, more time? More time? Here? No? Last one, steps for altitude. You know what? I'll go back to the steps in a minute. Let's try and do it. Let's talk about altitude. Determine the equation of altitude from the vertex A and the triangle to, okay, whatever. Graph the points. -1, -1. Got it? 8, 3, 8, 3, got it? 4, 7, 4, 7. Check. I always have to check. Maybe you're so good at these you don't have to check, but after I graph them, I got to look and see that I got them right. 8, 3, 4, 7. Yes. In great shape. Just got to connect those up. It's going to let me do it. Yeah, all right. Connect them up. And label them. I forgot to label them last time. Let's see. A was -1, -1. B was 8, 3. And C was 4, 7. Good. Very happy. Draw a picture. I did. Okay. Altitude from A. From A. From A. From A. To where? Does anyone know from the altitude? Does anyone remember from the altitude? How's it going to meet? It's perpendicular to BC, so I don't know where to put it. But for my picture, I don't know. That looks right to me. Right. It's a right angle. And again, I'm not trying to draw it perfect. By drawing the altitude on there, I think that helps you with the steps. It helps you go, oh, I know what to do now. The red is the one I'm trying to find the equation of. I need its slope and I need a point. I've already got the point. Yeah? There it is down there. I already know the point. That's going to be easy to find. But I need that slope. How am I going to find that slope of the red line? Remember, my picture's not accurate. I don't know exactly what angle it goes on, but what are we going to do? Perpendicular to BC. Find slope of BC and then do perpendicular. Okay, here I go. Slope of BC. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Good. BC, where are they? They're over there. 7 minus 3 over 4 minus 8 equals 4 over negative 4 is negative 1. Does it look like negative 1 to you in the picture? Oh, it does look like negative 1. I threw this one in there because it's a slope that's so easy, it's difficult. This actually can cause you problems. For once, you're like, I wish it was just a fraction that I could flip it. So the perpendicular slope, that's what we decided, was we wanted the perpendicular slope. How do I flip negative 1? So easy, it's hard, yeah? But go through the steps. Put it over 1, flip it over, now it's 1. Change it from negative 1 to positive 1. My perpendicular slope is actually 1 here. Does that match up my picture? Look like slope 1? Yeah, okay. Remember, the red line's not trying to be perfectly accurate. Now what? I'm almost home. Got my slope? Got a point?
Sum in the numbers on A.
Here, I'll actually do the steps one more time, because in case you're out there, you guys are excellent poker players. As I'm teaching, all of you nod and smile and act like, oh, it's so easy. But if you're out there going, I'm struggling with this a little bit, that's okay. Here's my steps. 1, write down y equals mx plus b. And fill in anything you know at that point of the question. Yesterday it was given, but now I've calculated the slope. Y equals 1x plus b. No, I don't have to write 1x. And then 2 is sub in the point that you have. What was a? Negative 1, negative 1? So, negative 1, negative 1. I get negative 1 equals 1 times negative 1 plus b. Negative 1 equals negative 1 plus b. Negative 1 plus 1 equals b. 0 equals b. This makes people panic. Like 0. Can the y-intercept, Mr. Todd, can the y-intercept be 0? Sure can. Does it look like it is? See, the picture helps again. Makes me go, yeah, that's pretty good. And now I'm ready to make my final statement. Therefore, the equation of the z altitude is y equals 1x plus 0. That's technically correct. You could write 1x plus 0, or you could just write y equals x. Also, better probably, but same. Do you have some questions? You have a question?
What is y?
No. It might be a deeper question than you might think. Do you mean, what is this y?
Just like in general.
Oh yeah, it's a great question. If you thought that was funny, it's easy to get lost in all this and going, okay, the equation line is y equals x. And I say, what does that mean? You're like, I don't know what it means. I know it's the answer though. Here's what it means. It means all the points on the red line, all the y's, will be equal to x. So the points on the line are 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. That's what that equation means. That's how you find points in the line. All the points that are on the line will have their y values equal to their x values. Let me put them on there in another color. Let's say I started the lesson like that and said, put a dot on all the points where the y value equals the x value. And I'll do it in purple, okay? 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. See, that's the line y equals x where all the x's equal the y's. Is that what you meant? Yeah. Is it like a general deep, what is y? Yeah, it's a better question you think. Maybe you should ask it yourself if you thought that was funny. Like when it says y equals, what was the previous one? It said y equals 1/3 x plus 1/3. You're like, yeah, I got the answer. Y equals 1/3 x plus 1/3. Aren't I clever? And I go, what does it mean? And you're like, I don't know what it means. I know that's the answer though. It means that on the line, if you take 1/3 of the x value and add 1/3, you'll get the y value. It's a relationship between y and x. It's a very good question. Let me review the altitude steps. Calculate the slope of the side opposite the vertex. Then get the slope of the altitude by doing the negative reciprocal. And then 3, do what you've been doing. The question that was so hard in grade 9, subbing in the x and y to find the b. That actually was a difficult grade 9 question. Okay? Notice the list of homework. Look, it's only 4 questions. Each question takes, a bunch of steps and a bunch of thinking. Don't be too hard on yourself if you have to think and go. But every time you have to think and go back and go, what's the altitude again? Better make a flashcard or something so that you get that memorized, everything that you need there.